Hey, Brendan here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Got another 2025 rookie scouting report show for you today. Going to be joined by Jason DiRienzo, my podcast co host, and we are going to break down Bhayshul Tuten. Man, this dude just killed it at the combine, showed off his speed, acceleration. But what does that mean from a fantasy standpoint? Is he going to be a dynasty asset for us next year? What does his draft capital look like? What do we see when we watch the film? Does he have the translatable traits to consistently be a dynasty starter for our dynasty leagues? We're going to break it all down, so let's not waste any more time. Before we do, though, hit that subscribe button. Trying to get to 17,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. Doesn't cost you a thing. I got a ton of rookie content on this channel. Let's get to the show. All right, Jason, let's get to our first 2025 rookie scouting report, and let's talk about Bhayshul Tuten, man. Was there a running back that had any better combine right now?
Whew. I'll tell you what, Tootin was tooting along in that 40, and he made some money this weekend.
Yeah, he certainly did. 5'9", 206-pound senior running back from Virginia Tech. Like we just mentioned, had a great combine. Let's talk about his 2024 production and his PFF grades before we get to his strengths and weaknesses and our scouting report grades. All right, these the yardages that you see, these are all regular season. 1,150 rushing yards, 6.3 average on the season at 15 touchdowns. Basically been a really good, productive running back for 4 seasons. Last 2 at Virginia Tech. Receiving yards and touchdowns, he had 23 receptions for 81 yards and 2 TDs. Receiving yards, rather. PFF rush grade, the ranks that you guys see if you're watching on YouTube here, you can see the ranks. They're based out of the top 25 running backs headed to the 2025 NFL draft. All right, he got 87.9, which is 10th above average. Yards after contact, very visible on his film, 4.4, ranked 3rd in the class. This guy really, I think, runs low to the ground, has a solid lower half. Missed tackles forced. He had 34% of the runs that he ran. He made a guy miss. It ranked 2nd in the class. Total of 62 this season. So that's pretty good. Means he's elusive out there running around. Explosive plays, 10 plus yards. He ranked 5th in the class with 19% of the time he touches the ball. He has got himself a play over 10 yards, which is pretty solid. His elusive rating, 2nd in the class as well, 143.2. So you can see why he went to the combine, Jason, and you could see, I think these grades pretty much reflect what we saw: the speed, the acceleration, the burst, the pop. So, what is, after us watching the film, like I said, I made a film on his game versus Miami. I broke it down. Go check that out on the website. What's your scouting report on Tuten?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very explosive running back, and you see that as soon as he gets the ball in his hands, the acceleration is there. He's got the burst. I think he does really good about allowing things to develop, especially on outside zone stretch plays. He's very patient, allows his blockers to set up, and he takes advantage of that lead blocker as well. It can be a bit inconsistent at times, and I do think that he's got enough sweet feet, like you like to say, to create for himself if things start to collapse. But man, he's just a home run hitter. If he gets through that gap and there's an open lane, you made a huge mistake on defense. That's not what you want when it comes to Tuten. This kid has that home run ability. I think even in the second level, like, it's not one of those situations where he's got a downshift and evade. Like, he does not lose speed when he's trying to elude linebackers and safeties in the second level. I like the movement ability a lot. I think he's a pretty dynamic weapon in the pass game, and I think he's a reliable blocker too. He's a full package. Sometimes he can run a bit too upright, and as I'm watching the film, I love how easy it is for him to get to the perimeter, but sometimes instead of going up to the middle, he was too bouncy to the outside, and I think that is a bit of his comfort zone. Some of the competition level too. I'm trying to figure out how he will be, because he does a great job of breaking tackles, especially those one arm attempts. It's like butter. He just goes right through them. I just don't know what that's going to be like at the NFL level, if he can still break through those type of pursuit angles and tackle attempts. But he is highly competitive, and he's not phased by contact. He's got pretty good contact balance. To me, he's just solid all around with that breakaway potential, and NFL teams are absolutely going to love that.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be a great complement to a backfield. I really
Yes,
do.
absolutely.
I think
Yep.
he's not gonna be a guy that's gonna be drafted to run with the rock. I could see him maybe getting like a Chase Brown opportunity if in fact that,
Mhm.
the guy in front of him doesn't pan out or they gotta use him for a year or 2, but I thought he was a really good navigator in the line of scrimmage, and to your point of running outside, they ran a lot of scheme plays for him to
They
run
did.
outside.
Yeah.
So, then you got to wonder. But when he navigated through the center of the line of scrimmage, I thought he navigated really well. I thought he had really good burst. Coming
Mhm.
out when he found that hole, he hit it with determination and really hit it hard. His low center of gravity, like you said, his contact balance, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
There was this one play in the Miami film that, I mean, some guy hit him right on the shoulders, and he
I
didn't
know
even
exactly which one you're talking about. I love that play.
and he just didn't
Didn't
even
even phase him.
budge. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think he ended up running for 60 some
He did.
yards, right?
Yep.
So he's got all that, he can win in the phone booth, right? He can navigate, readjust, pivot, sweet feet. I like it all. The thing is the physicality to me is what is going to see him be successful in the NFL. I
Yeah.
mean, he does run high with his pads sometimes, but he fights for effort, good forward lean, good pass catcher. There's a lot to like. It's just whether or not he's going to, I think is the one thing that's going to be a concern is just his physicality on his play strength, his functional play strength, playing in between the tackles. But I don't
Yes.
think that's what he's going to be asked to do. I think he's going to be used kind of as just a sparing, kind of a backup that is going to be sprinkled in to add some excitement and try and get one of those explosive runs on the field.
Mhm.
So
I think that's a good summary of who he can be.
yeah, so let's talk about our scouting report card grades. Okay,
Yeah.
vision and patience. I gave him a B plus. I think he's a good navigator, very patient. Yeah, he may have bounced the runs outside, but like we said, I think they schemed that up a lot to get him out in space so he could do damage. But we're navigating through the tackles. I liked what I saw. I gave him a B plus.
Yeah, I give him a B. I thought he was very solid. It was hard to find a hole in it. I just don't know what it's going to be like at the next level, considering kind of like what you said, he's just so used to that scheme. I think it's going to take him a minute to get used to breaking in the middle.
I think that's a very, very good point. Sweet feet and lateral ability. I gave him a B. I liked what I saw.
Mhm.
I thought he could readjust in the line of scrimmage. I think he hit the cutback lanes pretty well. I think he's got the fluid agility to change directions. So I gave him a B.
Yeah, I gave him a B as well, and I think you explained it pretty well.
Acceleration, long speeds, gotta give him an A, man. Like, you don't go to the combine and tear it
No.
up like that and not get an A. So that is gonna be his calling card. That is what he's gonna get drafted on, to be that home run hitter, to be that kind of sprinkle in running back to hit that home
Yeah.
run. I gave him an A. So strength and contact balance, I gave him a B. Just again, just that's my one little concern about him, given he's 206. Even though we've seen these backs at just 200, 206 win consistently in the NFL. His frame is just a little slight. He's well built for his size, but at five
Yeah.
nine, he's pretty small.
Yeah, I give him a B as well. I just don't, like I said, I saw him break through some tackles. I just don't know if he's going to get away with that as much at the next level.
Yeah, receiving ability, I gave him a B. Like I said, he had 23 receptions on the season, so that's pretty
Mhm.
good. And
Yeah.
we think that he can certainly catch the ball in the NFL. So you gave him a B as well. Looks like.
Yeah, he's going to be a very reliable receiver.
All right, so let's talk about some draft capital. All right, I think he's still, even though the combine just put a spotlight on this kid, I still think he's a day three guy. And Earl, I think he's a round 4 to 5 round player.
I think he moved himself up. I
Do
mean,
you?
it's gonna be yeah, I think teams are gonna be too tempted. They've seen what like a James Cook, Devon A. Chain, Jameer Gibbs
Hmm.
can do as a role player, even. It's gonna be too hard to pass up a guy with this type of speed who has been this productive. They're gonna see what they can do with him. I think he's more of a late day two or a late second round, early third round type of guy at this point.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I know he will like
It's gonna be tough, man. Like,
yeah, I don't
but
know.
you know what?
Well,
There's the depth. The depth is the only thing I can't figure out.
yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, there's probably 6, 7 guys I'd rather have than
Yeah,
this guy, even though he looked great and he was fast, right?
yeah.
So let's talk about some comps. Everybody loves comps. Every time I do one of these shows and I don't get a comp, I get a bunch of say, "Well, who does he think he looks like? What do you think he looks like?" So we're just going to continue to add them to
Let's
the
do it.
show. I kind of have like Ray Davis vibes from this guy, right? From like
Okay.
last year, Ray Davis. Now, Ray Davis is a bigger back. He had a little bit more power, but I mean, tell me this time last year, Ray Davis wasn't the running back that was kind of showcasing himself as we march here as we're on the final lap to the NFL draft, and his stock rose as we went through the draft process,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think Tutin's going to get better draft capital than Davis, but I see a career similar to Tutin's than with Ray Davis. I mean, he started to get sprinkled in Buffalo this year a little bit, and that's kind of where I see a role for a player like this is going to be.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Ray Davis at the Senior Bowl really popped off, very similar to how Tootin was getting
Hmm.
talked about at the Senior Bowl too. So the rise during the draft process is very similar. I mean, I can't disagree with you that he might be that type of prospect. So that's not a bad call, especially with the receiving ability and the explosiveness.
Well, people are
I
going to
have
like your comp a lot better than mine, so you can't just give it out there, man.
It's the big playability, man. It's that
Yeah.
Devon A chain speed with the
Hmm.
physicality to go with it as a receiver at the backfield. I mean, you get him in open space, he's gone. Very similar. Wouldn't surprise me if the Miami Dolphins want to just back up A chain with a guy like this. Just they love that speed, and maybe that would just be enough. So that's kind of what I see here.
If he lands in Miami, I don't think I'm drafting the kid. So
Yeah, I get that.
that's,
It's
there's a
that's
lot
more
of
the
it.
team saying let's go to town with these
Yeah,
guys.
exactly. They got Jalen
Yeah.
Wright last year, and we didn't see him
Oh,
at
that's
all.
true.
So
Yeah, yeah. Forget
yeah,
Miami
so
thing, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah, I get it, dude. I,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
understand. So there you go. I mean, so this guy is a riser. It's going to be great to see where he is drafted and who drafts him, but he's going to be a great complement to an NFL
yes.
backfield.